Daniel lived a quiet life in a small town near the mountains. He worked as an engineer, fixing old machines and designing small inventions that could make daily work easier. Most of his nights were spent under the open sky, watching the stars. He had always loved the stars, but his reason was not only science or beauty. He watched them because he once knew someone who came from them. 10 years ago, when Daniel was a student, his life had changed completely one summer night. He had gone to the forest to test one of his machines that could detect magnetic signals. That night, the machine picked up something strange coming from the sky. Moments later, he saw bright lights and heard a soft crash sound in the distance. When he ran toward it, he found something unbelievable. A small silver craft had landed in the forest clearing. From its open door, a young alien girl stepped out. She looked close to his age, with gentle silver eyes and long, pale hair that moved softly in the night wind. Her name was Ariel. At first, Daniel was afraid, but she spoke gently in his language, explaining that her ship had been damaged while exploring near Earth. She could not call her people because her communication crystal was broken. Daniel helped her fix it over several days. During that time, they talked a lot. Ariel was curious about Earth, its trees, animals, and people. Daniel found her intelligent, kind, and calm. She told him about her home, a peaceful world called Valora, where people learned science and art in harmony. She said her people did not fight wars anymore, and she wished humans would one day find the same peace. They became close friends during those quiet days in the forest. Ariel told him stories about the stars, and Daniel showed her how humans made fire, cooked food, and built things with simple tools. He realized she was not just an alien traveler. She had a kind soul that cared deeply for life in all forms. One night they stood together beside the lake. The moonlight shone on the water, and she said softly that her people would soon find her and take her home. Daniel felt something heavy in his chest. He did not want her to go, but he also knew she could not stay. Before she left, Ariel gave him a small pendant made of crystal. It shined softly under the moon. She said it was a symbol of their friendship and a promise that she would never forget him. When her ship was repaired, she looked back one last time before flying into the stars. Daniel stood there holding the pendant, watching the light disappear into the sky. Years passed, but Daniel never forgot her. Sometimes people around him thought his stories were dreams, but he knew what he saw was real. He continued his work as an engineer, learning more about space and building machines that could one day reach beyond Earth. Still, no matter how much time passed, he could not forget the look in Ariel's eyes when she left. It was not just goodbye. It was a promise. Now it had been 10 long years. Daniel still kept the crystal pendant around his neck, hidden under his shirt. The world around him had changed. Space technology had advanced quickly. Humanity had built new satellites and exploration ships. News channels spoke about signals coming from deep space. Most people thought they were random sounds or natural radiation, but Daniel always hoped it might be a message from her. One cold evening, Daniel sat outside his small home, sipping tea and looking at the night sky. The stars looked brighter than usual, and he noticed something unusual near the horizon. It was not a plane or a shooting star. It was a slow-moving light, too large and steady. Soon he realized there were many such lights forming a pattern in the sky. His heart began to beat faster. He turned on the small telescope he had built himself and pointed it at the strange glow. What he saw made his breath stop. Dozens of massive ships were entering Earth's orbit. Across the world, news spread quickly. Television screens showed images of shining silver crafts moving above the clouds. Governments went into emergency meetings. People panicked, some hiding in shelters, others praying. The media called it the arrival. Every nation tried to contact the unknown visitors, but there was no response. The alien ships simply hovered in silence. They did not attack or make demands. They waited. Daniel watched everything closely. Something deep inside told him this was connected to Ariel. The ships looked like the ones she had used, only much larger and more beautiful. The designs matched her world style that she once described. Smooth, curved lines that looked like wings of light. His mind raced as he remembered her words. She had told him that her people studied peace, not war. So why would her fleet appear like this? Were they in danger? Or was she returning for another reason? The next morning, Daniel received an unexpected visit. A group of officers came to his house. They said his name had appeared in a direct message from the alien fleet. The message was short and clear. We request the presence of human Daniel Hayes for diplomatic meeting. The officers were confused. They asked him if he knew anyone among the visitors. Daniel hesitated for a moment, then quietly said yes. He told them about Ariel, though he kept their past friendship simple. The officers looked doubtful but took him to the capital city anyway. In the capital, large crowds gathered near the government's Space Research Center. A massive holographic screen had been set up for contact with the alien fleet. When the screen turned on, the image of a throne room appeared. It was grand, filled with shining lights and tall pillars. At the center sat a young woman dressed in royal armor of silver and blue. Her face was calm and proud, but her eyes were soft and familiar. Daniel felt his heart tremble. It was Ariel. The room around him went silent as her image looked directly at the camera. When she spoke, her voice was steady yet filled with emotion. "People of Earth," she said, "I am Princess Ariel of the Velaran Empire. We come in peace." The world listened quietly. Her next words surprised everyone. "There is one among you whom I seek, Daniel Hayes. He once helped me when I was lost on your world. I asked permission to meet him." The officials looked at Daniel with shock. He felt every eye in the room turn toward him. He stepped forward slowly. The pendant around his neck began to glow faintly, reacting to her voice. The officials allowed him to speak through the communication channel. "Ariel," he said softly, "it's me. I never thought I would see you again." Ariel's eyes softened even more. For a moment, she looked less like a princess and more like the same girl he had met years ago. "Daniel," she said gently, "I never forgot you. The promise we made still lives in my heart. But now I return not as a traveler, but as a leader. I must protect my people and my world. And there are dark forces moving across the galaxy. Earth may soon face them too." Her words filled the room with tension. The leaders began whispering to one another, unsure what this meant. Daniel looked at her and asked, "Why have you come now, Ariel?" She looked away for a moment, then said, "Because the peace we both dreamed of is in danger, and I need your help once more." Before anyone could say more, the screen turned dark. Communication was cut off. Everyone in the room began talking at once, but Daniel stood silent. He touched the glowing pendant and thought about what she had said. She was no longer just the lost alien girl he once knew. She was now a princess commanding a galactic army. Yet she still remembered him, still trusted him. And somewhere inside him, Daniel knew that this was only the beginning of something far greater than anyone could imagine. That night, as the alien fleet continued to hover above the planet, Daniel stood by his window looking up at the stars again. The world was holding its breath, waiting for what would come next. But Daniel already knew one thing for sure. His life was about to change again, and this time the fate of both their worlds might depend on it. The world was still in shock after the message from the stars. People everywhere talked about the alien fleet and the mysterious princess who asked for one man by name. News channels repeated the same video again and again, showing the calm face of Princess Ariel and her words of peace. Some people were afraid, some were curious, and some began to believe that maybe these visitors were not here to harm Earth. But for Daniel, it was something deeper. He could not stop thinking about her eyes, the way she looked at him through the screen, and the sound of her voice. That night, Daniel was taken to a secure base outside the city. The air was filled with tension. Military officers and scientists moved quickly, studying every signal from the alien fleet. Some wanted to prepare for war, while others said they should wait. Daniel was asked many questions: how he knew Ariel, what he remembered about her, and why she might have chosen him. He answered honestly, telling them about the time he met her 10 years ago. Many did not believe it at first, but the pendant he showed them changed everything. When he placed the crystal pendant on the table, it started to glow softly. A small light floated above it, showing the symbol of Ariel's royal crest. The scientists gasped, and the commander in charge ordered that Daniel be allowed to communicate with the alien fleet again. Within an hour, a new connection was made. A large screen flickered to life, showing the same royal chamber as before. Ariel appeared, standing beside a group of her council members. She looked calm and proud, dressed in a flowing silver robe that reflected light like liquid metal. Behind her, through the tall windows of her ship, stars glimmered in the darkness of space. "Daniel Hayes," she said softly. "It has been a long time." Daniel nodded with a small smile. It has. You really did return. Her lips curved into a gentle smile, though her eyes carried sadness. I made a promise, remember? I said I would never forget you. I kept that promise. But the universe has changed since then. My people face a threat that reaches across the stars, and that threat may soon touch your world too. The room on Earth went quiet. The military officers leaned closer to the screen. Ariel looked at them all. We did not come to conquer. We came to warn. There are others in this galaxy who do not wish for peace. They fear humanity's rise. They believe your people will one day become strong enough to challenge them. They plan to destroy your world before that happens. Her words echoed in the room. Daniel felt a chill. He asked, Who are they? Ariel hesitated, then replied, They call themselves the Varn Dominion. They are an ancient alliance of warlike races. They spread through fear and power. My people once avoided them by keeping peace, but now they move again. I lead my fleet to protect Valora and our allies, and now I come to protect you too, if you will trust me. The commander of Earth's forces stepped forward. And what do you want in return? Ariel turned her gaze toward him. I want nothing but understanding. Humanity has a choice. You can prepare for war with those who come to destroy you, or you can join us and stand as allies of peace. I came because I know humans can be brave and kind. Daniel showed me that long ago. Daniel felt warmth rise in his chest when she said his name. He remembered the days they had spent together near the forest lake. It felt strange hearing her speak of those memories in front of the world, but her words carried truth. He could see she still cared. Ariel continued, I will send an envoy to meet your leaders in person. I wish no harm to Earth. My fleet will stay in orbit until we know if peace is possible. Before the screen turned dark, she looked at Daniel one last time. We will speak again soon. After the transmission ended, the room filled with loud discussions. Some officers believed her. Others did not. Many thought it was a trap. The world had never faced something like this before. Daniel stood quietly looking at the now black screen. Deep inside, he knew Ariel's words were true. She would never lie to him. But he also knew that the galaxy she came from was far more complicated than Earth's people could understand. Over the next 2 days, the world held its breath. The alien fleet stayed still in the sky. They did not attack or move closer. People could see them at night, silver shapes shining like moving stars. Some thought they were angels. Others thought they were a warning. Children pointed at them with wonder, while adults whispered in fear. Daniel was moved to a larger research center where communication with Ariel's fleet was managed. Scientists asked him to describe her species, her world, and her technology. He did his best, but most of what she had told him years ago sounded like dreams compared to the reality he was now seeing. He spent his nights staring at the sky, waiting for another message. On the 3rd day, the message came. This time it was not through a screen. It was a beam of light that descended from one of the ships, landing near the spaceport outside the city. Out of that light stepped a tall alien figure wearing elegant armor. The being introduced herself as Captain Nira, the envoy of Princess Ariel. She spoke in calm, fluent human language. We come in peace. The princess requests that Daniel Hayes join her aboard the royal flagship for discussion. Daniel felt both nervous and amazed. He looked toward the commander, who after some hesitation gave permission. A small transport pod arrived from the alien beam. It was silent and graceful, shaped like a smooth shell. When Daniel stepped inside, he felt weightless. The pod rose quietly into the sky, leaving Earth behind. Through the small window, he saw the planet growing smaller, wrapped in white clouds. Then he saw the fleet, hundreds of shining ships moving like birds in formation. At the center was a massive vessel that looked like a floating city. Its surface glowed softly, covered in symbols and towers. The pod moved toward it and entered a bright docking bay. When the doors opened, Daniel stepped onto a polished floor that reflected the stars above. The air smelled clean and light. Alien officers in silver uniforms greeted him respectfully. One of them said, "The princess awaits you." He followed them through a long hallway filled with strange art and soft blue lights. Every corner of the ship looked alive, as if it was built from both metal and nature. Finally, the doors to the royal chamber opened. Ariel stood at the center, looking out through a large window that showed the curve of Earth below. Her hair shimmered under the soft light, and her robe moved gently as she turned. When she saw him, her expression softened into a warm smile. "Welcome, Daniel," she said softly. "It feels like only yesterday we stood under your moon." Daniel stepped closer, his heart beating fast. "It feels the same for me. Only now the moon seems smaller." She smiled at his words. "You have not changed much." He looked at her in awe. "You have. You look stronger, more like a leader." Ariel lowered her eyes for a moment. "Sometimes strength is a choice, not a gift. I became princess because my mother, the queen, passed during the First War with the Varn Dominion. I had to lead my people even when I was not ready." Daniel felt her pain in her voice. He said softly, "You always had courage. You helped me believe in peace." She looked at him with gentle eyes. "And you helped me believe in humanity. That is why I came back. I remembered our promise, but I also came because I need your help again." He looked surprised. "My help? I am just an engineer." She shook her head. "No, Daniel. You are a voice of understanding. My people fear humans because they do not know your hearts. You can help them see what I saw in you long ago." They stood in silence for a moment, looking at Earth through the window. The blue and white planet glowed softly against the dark of space. Ariel raised her hand, touching the glass. "This world is beautiful. I will not let it fall to darkness." Daniel felt the same determination rising in his heart. "Then I will help you, whatever it takes." Ariel smiled, and for the first time in many years she looked like the same girl he had met beside the lake. But around them now stood a galaxy filled with danger, and neither of them knew what trials waited ahead. As Daniel looked back at the Earth floating below, he realized that the friendship they once shared might soon decide the fate of two worlds. Daniel woke early inside the grand ship that floated high above Earth. The walls around him glowed with a soft silver light. He had been given a room in the royal section of the flagship. Everything looked elegant and quiet, from the floating lamps to the gentle hum of the engines that powered the vessel. It did not feel like a warship, but more like a palace traveling through space. When Daniel stepped out of his room, an alien attendant guided him through long hallways made of smooth metal and glass. The windows showed the stars outside and the blue curve of Earth below. The sight filled him with wonder. He had dreamed of space since childhood, but standing there now made him feel small and amazed. The attendant smiled kindly and said, "The princess is waiting for you in the council chamber." Daniel followed her through a wide door. Inside the chamber, Ariel sat with several of her advisors. The table before them was made of crystal that projected glowing images of star systems. Daniel noticed circles of red light moving between the stars. He guessed they marked battle zones. Ariel looked up and smiled softly when she saw him. "Good morning, Daniel. I hope you rested well," he nodded. "Yes, thank you. Your ship is peaceful," she replied. "Peace is something we try to carry with us even in times of danger." She turned back to the council. "This is Daniel Hayes, the human who once helped me on Earth. His knowledge of human nature will help us understand your world better." The alien generals greeted him with respectful bows, but Daniel could feel their curiosity. Some of them looked uncertain. The oldest among them, a tall figure named General Kivar, spoke first. "With respect, Princess, how can one human help us understand an entire species?" Daniel took a breath before speaking. "I do not represent all humans, General, but I can share what I know about our hopes and fears. We are not perfect, but we learn and we grow. I believe your people can find friends among us." Ariel smiled at his calm words. The generals exchanged looks, unsure how to respond. Finally, Ariel said, "Thank you, Daniel. Your words remind us of why peace is still worth fighting for." She turned off the hologram map and asked the council to leave for a moment. When the chamber was empty, she looked at Daniel. Her eyes were soft, but her face showed a trace of worry. "There is something I must show you," she said. She touched a control on her wrist and the walls changed to display a new map of the galaxy. Dozens of red lights appeared. "These are the sectors where the Varn Dominion has attacked. They have already destroyed small colonies near the edges of Valoran space. My people fight to protect them, but we are losing ground. The Varn forces are growing stronger. They want to control every world that shows independence." Daniel stared at the red marks. "And they are coming toward Earth." Ariel nodded slowly. "Yes, your planet has developed new technology faster than expected. The Dominion fears you will rise as a new power. They see you as a threat even though you have done nothing to them." Daniel clenched his hands. "So they plan to destroy us before we can defend ourselves." Ariel's voice was calm but heavy. That is their way, but I will not allow it. When I became princess, I promised to protect not only my people, but also those who cannot protect themselves. I will not watch Earth fall. Daniel looked at her with admiration. You have not changed. You still believe peace is worth protecting. She smiled faintly. And you still believe in hope. She led him to another chamber where a large window looked out at the fleet. Hundreds of ships floated silently like silver birds. Some were huge carriers, others were small patrol crafts. The sight was beautiful yet filled with power. This is the Velaran fleet, Ariel said. I lead them now. Many of them trust me, but not all agree with my choices. Daniel asked softly. Why? Because some of my generals think humans cannot be trusted. They believe your world will betray us once the danger passes. They forget what I learned on Earth, that trust is the first step toward peace. Daniel said, Then let me help you prove them wrong. Ariel looked at him, her eyes bright with hope. I knew you would say that. Later that day, Ariel invited Daniel to visit the cultural hall of the ship. Inside, walls displayed images of Valoran history. He saw peaceful cities, tall towers built over oceans, and people with silver eyes walking under twin suns. He also saw images of war long ago before they chose peace. Ariel explained that her ancestors once fought endlessly until they learned that only knowledge and cooperation could save them from destruction. Daniel listened carefully. It sounds like the same lesson humans still need to learn. Ariel nodded. That is why we must stand together. The galaxy cannot survive endless war. As they walked, an alarm suddenly echoed through the hall. The lights turned red. Ariel pressed a button on her wrist and listened to the report. A Varn scout ship has entered the system, a voice said. It is observing us from a distance. Daniel felt tension rise around them. Soldiers moved quickly to defense stations. Ariel turned to him. You should stay here until it is safe. Daniel shook his head. If this is about peace, I want to see what happens. Ariel hesitated but agreed. She led him to the command deck. The large window showed the dark sky filled with stars. A single red light appeared far away on the monitor. Ariel gave orders to hold fire. General Kivar frowned. Princess, they are watching us. We should destroy them before they report our location. Ariel's tone was firm. No, if we attack first, we start the war. I will not give them a reason to call us aggressors. Kivar looked displeased but obeyed. The crew watched silently as the red dot on the screen moved slowly, then disappeared into the dark. The tension eased and the alarm faded. Daniel looked at Ariel. You just avoided a war by refusing to shoot first. She sighed softly. Sometimes peace is won not by strength but by patience. But my generals do not always agree with me. Later they met again in a quiet garden chamber inside the ship. It was filled with glowing plants from Valora that gave off a soft silver light. The air smelled fresh and calming. Ariel sat on a bench looking thoughtful. Daniel joined her. You risked your command by not attacking, he said. She nodded. Many of my officers believe only fear brings order. They think mercy is weakness. But I remember your words from long ago. You said kindness can be a strength too. Daniel smiled. I still believe that. Ariel looked at him with warmth. You always remind me of the better side of life. I miss that. They sat quietly for a moment listening to the hum of the ship. Daniel noticed how tired she looked, even behind her calm face. You carry a heavy burden, he said. She nodded slowly. Every leader does. But knowing that I am not alone gives me strength. He looked at her and said gently, You are not alone, Ariel. I am here. Her eyes softened as she met his gaze. Thank you, Daniel. You always know what to say. Before they could speak more, a voice came through the intercom. Princess, the Earth governments have sent a reply. They request a meeting. Ariel stood quickly. Then the time has come to take the next step. Daniel asked, Will I be part of it? She looked at him with confidence. You will. They trust you more than anyone from my world. Together we will show them that peace is still possible. As they walked toward the bridge, Daniel felt a deep sense of purpose. He had once helped a lost traveler find her way home. Now that same traveler who had become a princess was helping him protect his world. The stars outside shined brighter than ever, and he knew their journey was far from over. Ariel looked at him one last time before giving orders to set a course toward Earth. The next hours will decide the future of both our worlds. Stay close to me, Daniel. Whatever happens, we face it together. Daniel nodded, his heart steady with resolve. Together. The great fleet turned slowly, its engines lighting up the dark of space as it moved toward Earth. Below them, millions of humans waited, unsure of what was coming. Above them, the princess and the human who once shared a promise prepared to face the truth of the galaxy. And as the stars passed quietly beyond the window, Daniel knew that destiny was calling them both once again. The great sky city of Seraphis hovered above the shining clouds of planet Oralis. Its silver towers touched the stars, and its glowing platforms were alive with thousands of alien citizens preparing for the upcoming peace summit. The summit would decide the fate of both humans and the Tyrell Empire. For the first time in many years, the tension between the two races could end, or begin again. Adrian stood near a wide crystal window inside the palace, looking down at the busy city. He had been treated as an honored guest since Princess Alira's order, but he could not forget the feeling of being watched. Every step he took was followed by guards, every meal tested by scanners. He knew he was not there because of trust. He was there because Alira wanted something, and he was not sure what it was. When the door opened softly behind him, Adrian turned. Alira entered, wearing a white ceremonial outfit lined with blue threads that shimmered like starlight. Her golden eyes met his, calm but sharp. "You seem restless," she said gently. Adrian smiled faintly. "It's not easy to rest when the future of two worlds depends on one meeting." Alira came closer, her steps graceful and light. "You were always the one who thought too much about the future," she said. "But maybe that is why I trusted you long ago." He looked at her. Remembering the past, the days when she had been a young princess visiting Earth, curious about humans, and he had been the one assigned to guide her. Back then, there had been no armies, no politics, no war. Only two people trying to understand each other. "I trusted you too," Adrian said softly, "and maybe that is why I'm still here." Alira's eyes softened, but her expression soon turned distant. "There are things you do not know," she said. "The summit is not only about peace. There are forces within my empire that want war again. They see humans as a threat to our pride. If the council votes for peace, they will try to overthrow me." Adrian frowned. "Then why risk it? Why not stop the summit?" "Because peace must be chosen," she replied. "If I cancel it, they win. If I face them, maybe I can end this forever." He could hear the courage in her voice, but also the fear behind it. Alira had changed since he last knew her. She was no longer a curious young princess. She was now a ruler carrying the weight of a galaxy. Still, deep inside, he could feel that the same heart remained. That evening, Adrian was escorted to a grand hall where the royal council was gathered. The members were tall and elegant, each wearing the deep colors of their houses. Holographic banners floated above them, showing the symbol of the Tyrell Empire, a circle divided by a shining star. When Alira entered, everyone stood. She spoke with calm authority, her voice echoing across the chamber. "Today we discuss the future of our people," she said. "Do we continue a cycle of war, or do we open a path to unity with humanity?" Some council members nodded, but others looked cold. One of them, Lord Vecren, stood up. He was tall, with sharp features and a deep scar across his cheek. "Unity?" he said with a harsh tone. "You speak of unity with those who nearly destroyed our fleets? With those who once captured our worlds?" Adrian kept silent, watching as Alira held her ground. "The war ended because we both lost too much," she replied. "Hatred has only weakened us. We must move forward." Vecren smiled coldly. "And what will humans give us in return? Their pity? Their weakness?" Alira's eyes flashed. "They will give us understanding, and we will give them the same." The hall went quiet. Then another council member spoke in support of Alira, and soon the debate spread across the room. Adrian could see the struggle unfolding not just in politics, but in hearts. The Tyrell were proud, and peace felt like surrender to some of them. After hours of discussion, the session ended. Alira looked tired as she walked out. Adrian followed her into the corridor where she stopped beside a wide glass balcony. "They will not all support me," she said quietly. "Vecren and his followers planned something." "What kind of plan?" Adrian asked. "Something dangerous," she said. "I have seen the movements of their fleets. If the council votes for peace, they may strike the human colonies to start another war." Adrian's hands tightened into fists. "Then we need to stop them before they act." She nodded slowly. "Yes, but I cannot move against them without proof." "I need your help again, Adrian. You know how humans think. If there are spies among them, maybe you can find a link." He agreed without hesitation. Tell me where to start. That night, Adrian went deep into the lower levels of the city with Mira, a young Tyrell officer loyal to Alira. Together, they searched for signs of secret communication between Vecran's faction and off-world ships. The tunnels were dark, filled with hum and light from energy conduits. Mira moved silently beside him, scanning the area with a small wrist device. Suddenly, a faint signal appeared on her screen. "Encrypted message," she said. "Coming from here." They followed the trace to an old cargo bay. Inside, a few figures were speaking in hushed tones. Adrian recognized one of them as a council guard. He leaned closer and listened. "Tomorrow, during the summit," the guard whispered, "Vecran will send the fleet to attack the human convoy. Once it begins, no one will question our strength again." Adrian's eyes widened. He recorded the message with his device and turned to Mira. "We need to get this to Alira now." But before they could leave, one of the traitors noticed them. "Intruders!" he shouted. Energy lights flashed through the dark room as alarms rang. Adrian and Mira ran through narrow halls, chased by the guards. They reached a lift and rode it up as security drones flew behind them. When the doors opened, Alira was already waiting with her royal guards. "What happened?" she asked quickly. Adrian handed her the device. "Proof," he said. "They plan to attack the human convoy during the summit." Alira's eyes hardened. "Then Vecran has made his choice. Tomorrow we make ours." That night, as the city slept under a blanket of stars, Alira stood alone on her balcony. The wind lifted her hair as she looked up at the dark sky where her fleet waited. She thought of Adrian, of the years they had lost, and of the trust they once shared. When he joined her quietly, she did not turn at first. "You always find trouble," she said softly. He smiled. "Maybe I follow where you go." Finally, she turned to face him. "If things go wrong tomorrow, I want you to remember something," she said. "I never stopped believing in you." "And I never stopped believing in us," he replied. The words hung between them, simple but true. As dawn rose over Seraphis, the future waited, uncertain and full of danger. But for the first time in many years, both human and Tyrell hearts beat with the same hope. The morning sun reflected off the silver towers of Seraphis, casting long, gentle beams across the city. The city was alive with activity, but the air carried a quiet tension. Today was the day of the summit, and the decisions made here would determine the future of both humans and the Tyrell Empire. Adrian stood beside Princess Alira in the observation balcony of the palace. The fleet floated silently above the planet, ready for action but awaiting their leader's command. Alira turned to him, her golden eyes calm, yet filled with determination. "Today we choose the path of peace," she said softly. "But we must be ready for those who still cling to war." Adrian nodded. "I am ready. I will stand with you." They walked together into the grand chamber where representatives of human colonies and the Tyrell Council had gathered. Holographic maps hovered above the tables, showing trade routes, fleets, and planetary systems. The room was filled with whispers of fear and hope. Humans had never been in such a large gathering of alien leaders before, and the Tyrell Council members who supported Alira watched carefully for signs of weakness. Alira took the center of the chamber and spoke first. "Today we face a choice that will define our worlds," she said. Her voice was strong and clear. "We can continue the cycle of fear and war, or we can extend our hands to each other and build a future together." Some council members shifted uncomfortably. Lord Vecran, who had been the loudest opponent before, sat quietly but with a sharp gaze. Adrian noticed the tension in the room and silently checked his communication device. He had hidden recordings of the plot to attack the human convoy. Now was the time to use them. As Alira paused, Adrian projected the recordings onto the holographic screen. Every council member could see and hear the secret plans Vecran had made to attack the humans during the summit. The chamber went silent. Even the humans gasped, realizing how close they had come to a sudden war. Alira spoke again, her voice calm but firm.
"Now you see the danger of those who still cling to fear.
We cannot allow secret wars to decide the fate of our people. Trust and cooperation must guide our decisions, not treachery." Several council members nodded slowly. Some whispered to each other, realizing that Alira had not only revealed the plot but had done so without anger or fear. Her courage and wisdom shone through. Lord Vecran's face grew red with rage, but he could not speak without further proof against himself. Alira turned to him gently. Vecran, the people of Earth, have shown their courage and willingness to learn. They can be our allies if we choose, but if we continue to act out of fear, we risk losing everything we hold dear. Adrian stepped forward. They are not perfect, he said, but humans can be brave, kind, and loyal. I know because I have seen it firsthand. If you give us a chance, we can work together to protect all our worlds. The council members murmured among themselves. Many had begun to see the truth. Alira had chosen to trust not just the humans but Adrian's words. She had reminded them that true leadership meant courage, wisdom, and understanding. After a long pause, Alira raised her hand, signaling the council to vote. One by one, the council members chose peace. The vote was unanimous among those who had not supported Vecran, and several of his followers hesitated, unsure if they should resist the will of their princess. Vecran finally stood, his expression furious but contained. This decision is weak, he said sharply. You risk everything by trusting those who are not of our kind. Alira looked at him steadily. It is not weakness to choose life over war. It is strength. And we will not let fear destroy our future. Vecran turned and left the chamber, his followers scattering quietly behind him. The humans and Alira's supporters remained, smiling with relief. Adrian felt a surge of hope. For the first time, it seemed that a true alliance between two worlds was possible. After the summit, Alira invited Adrian to the observation deck of her flagship. The sun reflected off the fleet, showing ships of every size and shape. The humans had arrived in their small convoy, now aligned with the Tyrell forces in a demonstration of unity. Adrian looked at the stars stretching above them and felt a deep sense of accomplishment. Alira turned to him. Today we proved that trust can overcome fear. That is why I came for you, Adrian. You reminded us that hope is never wasted, even across galaxies. Adrian smiled. And you reminded me that courage matters even when everything seems impossible. She reached out and touched his shoulder gently. We have done something rare today. We have started a new path. One that will keep our world safe and allow our peoples to grow together. They watched as the fleets moved in formation, human ships blending seamlessly with Tyrell vessels. The sight was both beautiful and powerful. For Adrian, it was the first time he realized that the galaxy was not just full of danger, it was also full of possibility. Later, in a quiet chamber, Alira spoke privately to Adrian. There is more to this journey, she said. The Varn Dominion still exists, but they will now face two united worlds instead of one. That is why we must continue to learn from each other. Adrian nodded. Then we will face them together. She smiled softly, her eyes showing warmth and trust. Yes, together. As the sun set over the planet below, Adrian and Alira stood side by side, watching the light reflect off the ships in orbit. For the first time in many years, they were not just the princess and the human who once shared a promise. They were partners, friends, and symbols of hope for countless worlds. The humans returned to their colonies, carrying with them stories of a princess who valued trust, courage, and friendship above all. The Tyrell people began to see the humans not as enemies but as allies. Slowly, the galaxy began to shift. Adrian and Alira spent the following days meeting with leaders, sharing knowledge and planning for a peaceful future. They worked tirelessly, but always found time to speak quietly together, remembering the days before war, before politics, when it was just two hearts learning to trust each other. One evening, on the observation deck of the flagship, Adrian held the crystal pendant Alira had once given him. It still shone faintly, a symbol of their bond that had endured the test of time and distance. Alira stood beside him, her hand brushing lightly against his. Do you remember when you first showed me Earth? She asked softly. He smiled. I remember. You were amazed by the forest, the lakes, and the stars above. You wanted to learn everything. And I still do, she replied. But now I see not just our world, but the possibilities of many worlds. And I see that courage and hope can reach farther than any fleet or weapon. Adrian nodded. And love and friendship can last longer than fear. They stood together in silence, watching the fleets of humans and Tyrell move gracefully through space. The galaxy had not yet lost its dangers, but today, two worlds had learned the meaning of trust, hope, and unity. Alira finally looked at Adrian and smiled. We have done something remarkable, Adrian. We showed that even across stars, friendship can change the course of history. He smiled back. And we will keep showing it every day. As night fell over the horizon of Seriphus, the stars above seemed brighter than ever. Adrian knew that life would continue to be filled with challenges, but with Alira by his side, he felt ready for anything. The human spirit, combined with the courage and wisdom of the Tyrell, had become something unstoppable. The fleets of both worlds slowly returned to their home bases, standing ready for whatever the future might bring. Leaders, soldiers, and citizens alike had seen that peace was possible, even in the face of great danger. And Adrian and Alira, bound by a promise made long ago, had become the living proof that hope and trust could unite not only two hearts, but two worlds. The galaxy was wide, full of unknown stars and distant planets, but for the first time in many generations it also seemed full of possibilities. The princess who once loved a human had returned not to conquer but to lead. And the human she once trusted had returned to stand by her side, ready to face the universe together. Adrian held the crystal pendant, feeling its gentle glow. "We started something new today," he said softly. Alira nodded, her golden eyes reflecting the light of the stars. "Yes, a new dawn has begun, and this time we face it together." They stood side by side, looking at the galaxy, knowing that whatever challenges awaited, the bond between them and the trust they had inspired across countless worlds would endure. For peace, for hope, and for the future of all the stars, they were ready. The galaxy was theirs to protect, and together, they would ensure it would shine brighter than ever. The end.